If I am conducting an investigation,
I don't care if you're investigating anything. It don't matter.
West Virginia Code, I'm not arguing with you. I know what West Virginia Code section says. And I can talk if I want to. Nope. I don't care.
Welcome back to the Civil Rights Lawyer channel. Big update today. New lawsuit filed in the case. Remember the one about the Hillbilly law degree where my client had gotten arrested in a Walmart in Buckhannon, West Virginia, and he's told that West Virginia is a stop and ID state, and in reality it's not a stop and ID state. In fact, really there are no stop and ID states if there's no reasonable suspicion to support the detention to force an ID. That was obviously a popular video, went I think 1.6 million views last I checked, but today we filed the lawsuit, federal section 1983 civil rights lawsuit against the individual police officer. If you don't remember the footage, here's a clip to jog your memory.
So what happened? What happened?
What happened is I walked through the door and the lady at the thing just announces on the thing everything I'm wearing.
Okay.
And 3 other people come in right behind me, not wearing a mask, not a word said. That's discrimination.
Okay. Do you have any health issues, sweetheart?
Yeah, I do. I'm diabetic and...
I mean, like any lung issues, asthma, bronchitis, anything like that?
I can't hardly breathe half the time.
Okay. All right.
But that's beside the point. There's 30, 40 people in here without a mask on.
Right.
I mean, the employees walking around with them down on your chin, so...
Well, the issue isn't so much that you didn't have a mask on, because if you identify that you have a health issue, asthma, bronchitis.
I don't have to identify that.
Well, if they ask you
That's
to.
against HIPAA laws.
It is, but it isn't.
It is. Absolutely against
They can ask if you have one.
They can ask and I can deny the answer.
You can deny, but they can also deny access to the store. Because
They didn't do that.
Okay, well, what is going on now is they are going to have you trespass for cussing their employees, so I'm waiting for them to bring forth, so I need your ID,
I'm
sweetheart.
not giving my ID. You can trespass me, ask me to leave, I'll leave the store.
Well, I have to have it.
No, ma'am.
Absolutely.
This is not stop an ID state.
Yes, it is. If you are under an investigation...
Ma'am, I'm not under investigation. If they
you
want me to
currently
leave,
are, that's why I'm here.
They have to ask me to leave the store.
Actually, you're obstructing right now, which is a jailable offense.
Well, do what you got to do.
All right, well, go ahead and put your hands behind your back.
Okay.
As of right now, you're under arrest.
I'm suing.
That's fine. Let's go. I'm not violating your rights.
Yes, ma'am, you are. This is not a stop and ID state.
Yes, it is. You just
No,
cannot
ma'am.
do passengers.
No, ma'am.
Absolutely, you
I'm
can.
not driving. Thank you very much.
I can still stop and ask you for your ID
You can
whenever
ask,
you're
I
under
can
an
deny.
investigation.
You
Not
can
when you're
ask.
under an
Is your
investigation.
camel, ma'am?
It sure is. It's right there.
Thank
It's
you
red.
very much.
And obstructing is against the
I'm
law.
not obstructing nothing.
You are.
No, ma'am.
You are currently
No, ma'am.
hindering my
No,
investigation.
ma'am.
Absolutely.
You are violating my rights.
I absolutely am not.
You are.
Nope.
Yep. You'll see when we go to court.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
I've not been trespassed. I've not been asked to leave.
308, calm. The minute when I ask you for your identification,
I do not have to ID.
Yes, you
I've
do.
done nothing wrong.
Yes, you
Broken no
do.
law.
Yes, you do.
Hey, man, what's your RSB? What's your reasonable suspicion of a crime?
I got called.
What is your reasonable suspicion of a crime for having me in handcuffs?
If you would
To
let
ID
me, if you would speak, if you would let me.
commit a crime for you to ID me.
If I am conducting an
I
investigation,
don't care if you're investigating anything. It don't matter.
West Virginia Code, I'm not arguing with you. I know what West Virginia Code section says. And I can talk if I want to. Nope. I don't care.
Okay, so the lawsuit alleges one civil rights violation. It has one count, and that is a violation of the Fourth Amendment for a false arrest. Now, what is a false arrest? That is when a police officer physically arrests somebody without a warrant. So a warrantless arrest. What is required for a warrantless arrest by a police officer? Probable cause. If a warrantless arrest takes place in the absence of probable cause, that is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. And that's exactly what is alleged here. Now, remember, police officers do not have to have just probable cause for the actual crime that they're arresting the person, or that they say that they're arresting the person for, because it's an objective standard. So even if you have a fairly unintelligent police officer who thinks he or she has probable cause for one thing, but there's also a grab bag of probable cause for other potential crimes, then it's not a civil rights violation because it can be any probable cause. And that's what allows the appellate courts to, after the fact, clean up some of these cases. They can say, yeah, well, there wasn't probable cause for that crime, but there was probable cause for X, Y, and Z. This man was being investigated for the alleged state crime of trespassing. Now, in reality, you look at state law for the trespassing law. And the trespassing law states that it's not even an offense that you can be incarcerated for. It also requires that the individual refuse to leave the premises. And that's not what we had in that video, as you can see, but that is a common thing that we see in other cases as well. Police officers show up to one of these commercial establishments. They say that you're being trespassed and I need your ID to fill out some sort of, to provide to the facility, to fill out some sort of form. It's like, wait a minute. If there's no state law that says you have to provide your ID under those circumstances, and there's no reasonable suspicion that any state law had been violated, then there is no Fourth Amendment foundation, no justification for a police officer to forcibly ID you and then arrest you for not providing your ID. Just because a store wants your ID so that they can fill out some sort of trespass form, that does not entitle the police to arrest you for not providing your ID, assuming that you are not refusing to leave the property. Most of these cases, I'm almost always told that they never asked me to leave the property. I was never given the opportunity to leave the property. And that's what the cops tend to do. They say, no. Step number one, we want your ID. We want to know who we're dealing with, blah, 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 blah. And so they don't even give the individual the opportunity to leave. So what is the crime? If the crime is trespassing, then there can be no probable cause at that point. And there could be no reasonable suspicion at that point, because a element of the crime of trespass under West Virginia state law is that the person is refusing to leave. We will continue to give updates as this litigation goes along. The process from beginning to end for one of these federal Section 1983 lawsuits is about 12, 13 to 14 months. It actually goes by very fast. You start off with the mandatory disclosures in the beginning, then the court develops a scheduling order, then you go through a discovery period. And that goes by pretty quickly. You take depositions, you exchange written documents, and before you know it, you're at the later stages, which are generally dispositive motions for summary judgment. You submit your deposition transcripts and your arguments to the court, and the court decides whether or not this is going to trial or whether or not there's some legal flaw to the case and it's going to be dismissed. And in the meantime, the court encourages mediation and settlement negotiations, and most cases do settle at some point in between. But if not, then ultimately we end up at a jury trial in about 13 months or so. In federal court, you have, in a civil case, you have 8 jurors. So it's not 12 like many people think, and it's not 6 as you have in a lot of state law civil claims. Thanks for following along. I think this will be an interesting one. I know a lot of people are interested in this trespass issue. So thanks for watching. Bunch of other new lawsuits coming. I know that you'll be interested in. Working on a lot of great things, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it.